you're going to lose your job soon. The only thing that is constant in technology is change.
More than 50% of the layoffs have some sort of relationships with AI.
We will have a lot of job cuts on the short term. Don't go and chase the trends or chase, the hype or chase what my friend or that friend is. Don't do that. Ask yourself, do I feel comfortable with that field? Sovereign AI, casual AI, object-driven AI, collective AI.
So hello everyone, today we have someone who needs little introduction in the Bay Area. He's known as the Bay Area tech expert. He has been featured in CNBC, ABC News, Forbes, MIT. He has taught in Stanford, San Jose State University, where we are currently today. And he has expertise for topics ranging from IoT, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and now cybersecurity and AI as well. And he has seen the transition of all of these high demand tech fields in the heart of Silicon Valley, and he can guide us the best way. So hi, Professor Ahmed. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Professor Ahmed Banafa. I am a tech expert and an engineering professor at San Jose State. I'm an author. And something called media expert, which is San Jose State has a list of them to answer the questions of the media.
Wonderful. So let's start with your journey into becoming a professor first. So you also started with the tech industry, right? So can you explain and walk me through the day that you quit your job and then switch to the field of teaching?
Okay, so I have a small story that maybe it will be an interest to the audience here. How did I came to the Silicon Valley? I used to live in Pennsylvania for a long time, where I was finishing my graduate studies, and then I received a phone call from a friend, two friends here in Silicon Valley, and that was summer of 1996. And if you look at that date, you're going to see this is basically the beginning of Netscape and the internet. And Netscape is the first browser for the internet. So what happened is they told me there is something here called the internet. We don't know how big it's going to be, so can you come and help us figure out what's going on? You're a technical guy. You're finishing your PhD in networking. And I told him, okay. So I flew all the way from Pennsylvania, that 6-hour flight. I landed in San Jose. The minute I landed in San Jose, the weather, the structure, everything there, I felt I'm home. And then I spent 3 days with them. I pick up the phone. I called my friends in Pennsylvania. I told them, sell everything. I'm not coming back, and I never went back since 1996. So this is how I came to Silicon Valley. So we started a small company. This company was installing the networking and the operating system of Microsoft. It was one of the first network operating system called NT. That's a very solid one at that time and still used until now under a different name. And then .com came and just destroyed so many of the businesses. So I ended up in the industry. In the industry, I worked for a few years. The instability of the industry started recovering from the .com. And while I was working, I started teaching at Ohlone College, a small community college. That was my first teaching. And then after that one, East Bay, Cal State East Bay. And after that one, a friend told me, come teach at Berkeley. So I started shifting from the industry to teaching more. I taught there for 9 years, but the commute is too hard, because you're talking about more than an hour just going from San Jose to Berkeley. And then one day, I looked at it and say, when I was working in my own company, my passion was training my customers. And it was really important for me, and I feel that it is fulfilling when the customer understood what I'm talking about it and start applying this right away to the equipment we gave it to them or the program we wrote for them. And that's where I look at it and say, okay, maybe teaching is the thing is my passion. So, and then here comes a round of firing, of laying off thousands of people from their positions, big companies like Cisco and the other companies. And overnight I lost my job, and I say, okay. So I talked to the person responsible for for the classes. Told him I'm switching completely to teach there. And after Berkeley, I started teaching at San Jose State. At the same time, I started teaching also at Stanford for a few years. So, and this is how I end up with the teaching.
Oh, can you walk me through the day? How did you feel on the day of dot-com bubble? It's really easy to say that you switched to becoming a professor, but we don't know what it took to, switch the mentality to actually be on the opposite side of the classroom, not be a learner in tech industry and becoming actually a teacher.
I was always fascinated by the fact that somebody can stand up and start teaching people and taking the questions, because, my philosophy is actually built in two things, which is, if you'd like to understand anything in the world, to be an expert in a certain topic, either you teach it or write about it. And it will be much better if you can do both. So teaching will open the door for you to ask questions and to be asked questions, because other people have different perspectives and they can ask you a question you never thought about it. And they can just directly toward directions where, okay, I never thought that this can be in that. And fresh mind looking at the topic that you've been teaching for many years will give you a better understanding. So after the, in the mix of the .com, jobs is not just people losing their jobs. Companies are shutting down. We're talking about thousands and thousands of jobs are gone. Hundreds of companies are shutting down. The .com is just a bubble that burst, and when that happened, it took everybody by surprise, because everybody thought that everything's stable, they can make money easy, they can just buy any company stocks and make tons of money out of this one. So it was very hard on people. So either you collapse and start, blaming yourself, blaming the economy, blaming the society. We're going to say, okay, what's my next step? And as engineers, and I was young during that time, as engineers, we always have plan B. That's one thing that I have learned, in my undergraduate to graduate studies. You don't stay on one plan. You have plan B and C and D just in case something happens. So what's my plan B? Go through the training. Now, if I go on training with the companies, it's exactly the same thing. It's a position with the companies, you're going to end up with the same situation. But if you go with schools, yeah, the pay is less, there is no question about it, but it's more stable and more fulfilling. Why? Because now you are preparing the future engineers. So whatever experience you went through for the past 20 years, you are just transforming this experience and give it to them in a way where they understand it without paying the price for that, being in the middle of that challenge.
So overall, building relations was so fruitful on the day and on the time of .com bubble, what you saw. Now, talking about the .com bubble, people compare that .com bubble with current AI bubble, which could be a potential bubble as well. Because many companies during the .com bubble weren't making revenue, but they were, hyped and getting a lot of funding. Do you think currently the AI companies, which are getting a lot of funding, how many you think percentage-wise are similar to that of .com bubble?
We don't have that many companies that actually work in an AI because it's expensive to hire anybody in AI. This is number one. Number two is AI is not new. AI been in the industry since 1940s. So it went just through winters. Now, this is one of the questions always been asked about it. Why now? Why AI is hot now? The answer is actually in 3 points. 10 years ago compared to today, 10 years ago we didn't have the same amount of data. Data is the fuel for the AI. Number two, the hardware, NVIDIA, the H100, the H200, the B200, AMD MX300, all those hardware never existed 10 years ago, so now we have it. Third, the algorithm that's used in the AI. So having all the 3 of them happening at the same time gave us this inflection point where now it's really the time for the AI to have its prime time. Now, I was given a training to engineers from Ferrari, and I explained that point to them from their own perspective. I told them the data is like the fuel, it's like the gas. The hardware is like the car, and the algorithm is like the driver. You're not going to win without having all the 3. So when you have all of them together, you're going to go full speed. Now, of course, some companies going to fall, some companies going to, flip, some companies. It's the nature of the Silicon Valley. The Silicon Valley has a very underlying rule, which is out of the 10 startup companies, 9 failed, 1 succeeded. So you want to be that successful company. And in order for me to say I'm going to start an AI company, I have to have the hardware, I have to have the data, and I have to have the engineers who understand. And this is very expensive to have. And nobody will give you that much money unless you have all the three components, and it's very easy to verify that. I'll give you a funny story. I went to Safeway this weekend, and I was looking for the toothbrush. And then I look at a box, which is from Oral-B, which is a well-known brand in the industry, and in the box saying, this toothbrush comes with AI. There's a sign of AI. And I have to stop for a few seconds just to make sure I'm reading this right. I'm not hallucinating about that. So I looked at this and say, AI toothbrush? And it's $200, by the way. So I looked at it. The statement on the box, and it's actually the AI word was displayed in a prominent, it's really clear. It's a prominent, position saying the toothbrush will understand your needs and adapt. Okay. So that tells you about how people looking at the AI, if they can just throw that word and people are going to pay attention and then buy the product. The issue with the AI is it is not a new technology as much as it is a tool. That this tool, you add it to anything, and it's going to do three things to any task. Going to do the task more accurate, faster, and cheaper. And you will notice something else. You're going to see that we hear a lot about the layoffs going on in the Valley. The reason for this one, mostly because of the AI, because companies realize that I don't need to have 5 people to do that work. I can do it with 2 plus AI. And when they have this kind of mentality and mindset, you're a CEO of the company. I came to you and I told you, listen, I can have this program or this tool where you can save money and time and staff. Those are the 3 things that the business people are looking for. Then you can say, okay, sit down, let's start. And you can prove that. I heard from so many of my friends who own companies or started a company, they say the email communication is better now because they're using that, the ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever tool they have there, just to make sure that they have a better understanding. The code is better. Why? Because just they can throw the code on the tool and it can just read it and make it better and look for the bugs. Technically speaking, and I was talking to my student yesterday in one of the classes, which is about computing and ethics, I was talking to them about it and I told them, okay, look at it this way. We have a very good friend of yours. That friend cares about you so much, but that friend is the smartest person on the planet. So every time you're doing something, you're going to tell you can do it better this way. That is AI for you. It's not replacing you. It's assisting you to be better. And the companies look at this one. They say, this is how we look at it. They say, I don't need 10,000 employees. I can go with 5,000. I will save in the space, the office space. I'll save in the salaries and the benefits. And the AI will never take a vacation, will never complain, will never have benefits, so I'm saving money on all this. And this is why it's attractive. From one side, you see companies are building. From one side, you see companies are reducing the workforce. So it's not like the .com where you just add .com. And I remember those days like it's yesterday. You add .com to your business and people are going to throw money on you like crazy.
That's the best explanation of AI I've heard. That completely proves why you have won the Instructor of the Year award so many times, and I really admire you sharing in-depth analysis about AI.
Now, in the world of AI, one of the most important skill you need is actually not creating a model, but distributed systems, because you will distribute your models across many GPUs. But many students struggle to learn because, first of all, you guys have to get on a cloud platform like Amazon AWS, Google GCP, or Microsoft Azure, and they are very expensive. But I got you all covered because there is a platform with which you can access all 3 cloud platforms with hands-on training on these 3 cloud platforms to learn Docker, Kubernetes, DevOps, distributed systems, and all in one place thanks to Code Cloud. And Code Cloud was also a sponsor of KubeCon, where I got to know about it. And this platform has had almost 1 million plus students, and you can be part of the community if you check out my link in the description below. And I promise these skills will help you in the future in understanding system design plus infrastructure, which is important to be in AI. Get the special discount with my link in description below.
And now, talking about the scams you mentioned, right? .com had those scams, and I want to compare. Currently, those are happening too, and they are the ones actually done by the top CEOs. They say that AI will not take their jobs, but silently behind the scenes, it is. There are many more one-person companies being created now as compared to before. There are many companies thriving with like 20% of the employees as compared to bigger companies. They are not showing that in real life as compared to their hiding. Oh, it's not going to take your job. But at the end of the day, behind the scenes, it is. Shopify CEO, there's a leak from Shopify that the firing happened because of AI, not because of any other data. It just leaked. So now, what do you think about it in terms of job cuts? What are your opinions?
We will have a lot of job cuts on the short term. This is the transition period. But on the long term, it's going to be, the difference will be positive. The reason for this is the following. As we go through this transition period where people realize how wonderful is AI and how much they can save out of it, from the other side of the story, we start hearing about new positions, new jobs like prompt engineer, AI ethicist, auditing, people who know how to, check the code for the AI and at the same time, and I was explaining this one again to the engineers, in that conference. What we are dealing with now is the core of the companies that creating the AI, and the customers are here. Usually, you will have a second layer of companies that will take the products, modify them. They call them value-added resellers (VAR), and then give it to them. And I have one of my friends. He was asking. He said, I would like to do this. And this, but it was the AI, but I don't want to hire a software engineer. It's very expensive. Now, this is the layer that's going to start growing, which is you're going to find companies, they call them the middleware, the middle, companies, where those companies, what they're going to do is, we understand what OpenAI is doing. We understand what Anthropic is doing. We know what Google Gemini is doing. We need the API for all of them. And then what do you want? I want this and this one. They can connect you together. OpenAI is not going to do that for you because they're busy creating their own products. So that is exactly what happened with companies, for example, like Cisco, companies like Microsoft. All those companies, they have products, but they're not going to every single company or every single person and say, we're going to install that with you. You hire people, you find companies who will customize that for you. So we're waiting for that next wave, which is people going to benefit from that. And the fear here is legitimate fear. There is no question about it, because people would like to save money. They're worried about the economy. We have seen the layoffs that happened in 2022 and 2023 is not because of the AI. At the beginning, it was because of the overhiring we have seen during the pandemic, and they overestimated the need of the online services. I mean, companies like Meta and companies like Google and companies like Microsoft and all those companies, they overhired people. And then they say, okay, well, when people go back to work, they're going to still need the same level of services online. They found that that's not true. But here comes November of 2022. ChatGPT is in the news. Took the word about 2 months to know what is that. 2023, I call it the year of understanding, discovering AI, generative AI. 2024 is the year of applications.
Absolutely.
And this is where we are standing.
And currently majority, or like at least more than 50% of the layoffs have some sort of relationships with AI.
Correct.
And that's maybe hidden because of the positive words thrown by the CEO that no, AI is not taking jobs, but behind the scene it is actually so true.
Yes.
And it is scary. Now, since you have been professor from the last 20 years and you have seen the hype changing every single time, blockchain, right, IoT. So how is your experience? Like, do you think the hype of IoT and blockchain a little bit decreasing over the years? Do you think that like the engineers who maybe are thinking of studying that, should they not focus on that? Should they only focus on what the hype is for? For example, AI, maybe a little bit of engineering. What do you think? How can a student decide their major better in terms of computer science? Because there's so many fields and it's hard to decide.
Okay, so that's a very good question. If you look at the technologies that we went through, there's always a big question about it. Okay, so now we start talking about cloud computing. Cloud computing is still there. certification is still there. People hiring for cloud computing. Actually, cloud computing is the reason for us to still stay in business or stayed in business during the pandemic, because the Zoom and all these companies using cloud computing. And then we move to Internet of Things. And Internet of Things is with us. I mean, your smartphone is the first internet device. In 2020, we had 50 billion devices connected to the internet. In 2025, we're going to have 75 billion devices connected to the internet. So it's growing. The blockchain has a different story, because the blockchain is a very specific used, and it's actually being tainted by the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency just changed or corrupted the vision people about blockchain. Blockchain is a distributed ledger, and it's only used for specific reasons, for a specific application. But everybody thought about it because of the cryptocurrency. I can print money in my basement, and that was what everybody thought about the cryptocurrency. I have my own cryptocurrency, Banafa coin, and nobody's buying it because it has no value, and I have about $500 billion of it. I have it, created that. But that shows you that when you get to that point, you start questioning something like this, and it makes no sense. Now, let's talk about how AI, if somebody would like to go to computer science, my advice to my student always is, you have to go to a field and a topic that you feel that you're gonna love, and you're going to do it not just because of the money. Money is good, and everybody needs money. There is no question about it. I'm not asking people to work for free. What I'm saying is you have to go to that field knowing that you would really want to learn it. And the important thing for developers, engineers, anybody in the STEM field here, is they have to have the ability to adapt. Because adaptability is one of the skills that you have to learn over time. I guarantee you that none of the engineers that you know, and I know that they started one position with their degree, they're not on the same position. They change somewhere in the middle, and they're doing something completely different from the starting point. And why they're doing this, why they are settled there, because they felt that this is what's good for them. You heard about the term executive MBA, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I did.
It's for engineers.
Yes.
Why? Because they become managers. We don't have executive engineering for business. We don't have that. We have it for engineering, because after a while, when you're an engineer, when you are somebody who came from computer science or or a science background, you're going to end up managing people. You need this kind of management background. So being flexible on how to change if the industry change is very important. Today we have the AI as is taking the world by storm. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. My next vision for this one, we might hear about quantum computing. Quantum computing could be the next wave we're going to look at. And quantum computing has a bigger impact than the AI, bigger impact than the others, because if we have quantum computing, we're talking about high speed, calculations. A lot of things going to change in our life. And it's still expensive, it's still complicated, but it's not impossible. And it has the same story as the AI, because it's not a new technology. It's been there for years. It's just too expensive to do it. Don't go and chase the trends, or chase the hype, or chase what my friend or that friend is. Don't do that. Ask yourself, do I feel comfortable with that field? And if you felt comfortable with it, you're going to succeed, even if the AI disappeared, because it can change. There's no question about that.
Wonderful said. And we're talking more about quantum computing, which can be the future. It's going to break the era of encryption. Some of the encryption algorithms are going to fail. So you always have to be ready and choose currently, what you enjoy. That's very well said. And thinking about the eras completely changing. Like every year, our technology is at least getting 2x better. I went to Jensen Huang's conference yesterday, the talk. He said that I see future because the chips, NVIDIA's chip, Moore's law says that, the
number of transistors doubled.
Doubles, yeah. So the chips are doubling every year.
Yeah.
Their performance are doubling every year. So if you think that maybe if AI is going to get better 2x every year, maybe it's going to be like 30x better in the next 5-6 years.
Correct.
So my question here will be, do you think it's going to get as better that software engineering jobs can also be taken by AI comfortably? Because there have been dev in AI which said that it's going to take probably 14% of tech jobs, and if it gets 2x better every single year, I do see that software engineer's career possibly ending if these are the numbers we see from these CEOs and the predictions. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, your word is correct in the sense of the only thing that is constant in technology is change. That's for real. And the key thing about it is you will find that if you look, and I give this example to my student, if you look at the library, we used to have the card, to get this, and we have some people who are responsible for that. The library is still there. Now we have the internet to look at it. We have it's still they have to hire people to run that. The old traditional programming and ways and means of developing software are going to change, with the AI. That's a giving for looking at the future, because some of those programming languages are going to die. Some are going to have a new programming languages, and those are going to be used specifically for the AI. This is the third rail. We talk about it, about the algorithms. You're going to find a lot of them. So one of the things I tell my student when I give them any assignment, any programming assignment as a homework, I tell them, okay, the assignment is saying use C++, for example. I told them, if you can give me the same output using any programming languages, as long as you give me the source code or the link to the GitHub and picture of or screenshot of the outcome of what you did, I will accept it. Because the key thing is every problem has multiple solutions. And some of them are short, some of them are long, but you're going to reach the same thing. The example also, I give it to my student, if you get invited to a house, you can come from different ways, but you're going to end up in the same house. And that's the same thing for it to see. If you work at a company, they're going to ask you to solve this problem. It's good to have 2 or 3 ways of solving it, not just one. And if you are that person who has only one way of doing it, one programming language and one way of thinking, you're going to lose your job soon, because you have to be flexible, and you have to, if you hear any term, and I get really irritated when I ask my student, okay, how many of you heard this term before? Oh, we never heard about it. I tell them, this is the wrong answer. When I ask you that question, I want you to hold your phone and start looking for it. And I look for that term and say, oh, it means something like this one. Because if you are working at a company and somebody's throwing those kind of technical terms or talking about all these kind of things, if you are really used to this, you're going to look at it and say, okay, now you know what he used. Instead of asking a question, which is an obvious question, and everybody look at you as if you are kidnapping one of their kids, so you're going to say, what is this, So this kind of being, curious about things and hungry for knowledge and always have this, your radar is up all the time, it's the key of success. I heard about a new term. I'll give you an example. When I was giving this lecture about what is the future of AI, what kind of trend that you can see in the AI. Sovereign AI, casual AI, object-driven AI, collective AI. So I throw those terms to everybody, and I say, this is what I see. Sovereign AI, which is not my word, it's actually coming from the CEO of NVIDIA, which is you own the whole cycle. You have the data, you have the engineers, and you have the hardware, so you don't need anybody from outside. A casual AI is, it's easy for me to give you the tool, and you can just deal with it without any complication about, you have to say the question in a certain way, you have to put it in a very complicated way. Now, I see this one complicated in some of the tools that used by companies, where if I want to create an image, I have to use certain prompts so I can create the image. What if I just tell them what I want in natural language and they understand it? Object-driven is very specific AI, which is for media is this, for this is this, for this is this. Collective AI, which is we use it, whether we know about it or not. You're going to find some people, if they have an article to write, if they have an answer about something, they check Gemini, they check Cloud, they check ChatGPT, check multiple agents, and then they get the best out of them. That's called collective AI, where you can get the answer from multiple agents, and now you have that answer which doesn't belong to one of them. That will be one of the trends you're going to see. They're going to be that layer where I don't have to do that myself. Somebody else will do it to me. I ask the question, they're going to go and pick it up, mix it, and give it to me as an answer.
I totally agree with it, because I went to, Jensen Huang also said that if there are two people, they are trained with their knowledge, and you ask questions to their models, the output is completely different. You have to get into perspective of every model, just like you talk to different people for their perspectives. And now talking about learning, you said that we have to be flexible in terms of choosing a major in order to be in this tech industry. So how do you continue to learn? You have seen all eras of learning, blockchain to from IoT to blockchain to cybersecurity to even AI. So how do you continuously learn and evolve?
Well, knowledge never age. Knowledge never age. Knowledge is actually born every single minute. So what happened is, if you're really excited about the knowledge and you keep asking yourself, what's next, then you're going to find yourself really questioning all the terms, questioning, so what's going to be the next about it, being curious about things. That's what, and being excited about finding about them and having that satisfying answer. That will be something will keep you going. If you think it's homework, it's something that you have to do, you're going to do the minimum, and then you're going to go back and say, okay, I've done this one. That's not going to. You find that you can see this one in many people. People are going to go to the extra mile. People are going to go the 10 extra mile, and people are just going to give you what do you want and say, this is what I want. This is what you want. Take it. And that's the difference between somebody who is looking at learning something new every day. And we are at the heart of Silicon Valley, and there is something new every day. And either I hear it when I go to the coffee shop, or if I am listening to the radio, or if I'm talking to a friend, or I have some of my students will come visit me, and they're talking about a new trend is going on. So the minute I hear about something that I never heard about it before, now that's going to be the spark. Will start a research. Now, one of the things that I do all the time, if this topic, I feel that this topic is really interesting, I will spend 2 or 3 days writing an article, and then I publish it on LinkedIn, and then you're going to see what happened after that. That's what happened. And I'll give you another perspective of the story. On April 17th, I received a letter from the White House, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys. That letter is an answer to a long letter. I sent it to the White House asking them what are you going to do about AI. And I told them, it's not just one line. Actually, I specifically talked about the concerns. I told the White House, this is what you did. You did the executive order, you did this one, but that's not enough, because we worried about this jobs, we worried about skills, we worried about this and this and this. And the letter from the president, basically from the White House, was really nice letter specifying everything. They even give me a link to a project they're working on. They say, this is a blueprint of what we are trying to achieve, which it takes me to the point, why you want to write a letter to the White House asking them about AI? Because there is no way for us to make sure that the AI is not harmful. The AI will help everybody, unless the 3 factors in making sure that the AI is going the right way, they get together. The companies, the government, and the consumer rights agencies, because the companies, they cannot self-police themselves. You're asking them to make less money when you ask them to have some rules on ethics. The government, they are slow, and so they don't understand many of the technology. And the consumer rights, they're going to look at it and say, we'd like to protect the consumer's right and privacy and safety.
I have also seen your video in which you raised concern about regulating AI, and it reached CNBC as well, because it's so important, because we saw the harms with Taylor Swift, we're seeing with the job cuts, and it's unimaginable. It has to be regulated at the moment. And now since we are at short of time, my last question will be about cybersecurity. Since you have the expertise in cybersecurity, can you share, currently all the companies are suddenly having more and more attacks coming from different countries, because those countries are funded to attack American data. So I have seen that, even the MGM attack in which, company had to literally reset their data centers. So what are the active principles you guide your students to be cyber secure?
Okay. The first thing I say when I teach that cybersecurity class to the student is you have to change your mindset looking at cybersecurity as an investment, not as an expense. So if that mindset is there, it's very easy for money to come through. look at it as the HR department. HR department is making no money for the company, but it's protecting the company. Look at it as the legal department. They're not making money. They're actually depleting money because you have to hire lawyers. But at the same time, if you don't have them, you're going to pay money on the other way. So if we change the mindset from looking at it as an investment, it's easy to look at it. And I give them examples. There's specific example. For example, you mentioned something about MGM. I mean, there is the famous story about the fish tank, which is, I don't know if you heard about it, but there is one of those hotels, I'm not going to mention the name, they have a big fish tank in the lobby. It's beautiful. I know that hotel. And then in order to keep that fish tank alive with the 6,000, fish and others, they have to have, some monitoring for the temperature of the water, the quality of the food, and also the, the quality of the, fish there. So make sure that they're alive because it's beautiful, And that one has to be connected to the internet because they need the part of the dashboard. So the IT department covered all the points except that point. So the hacker managed to get through to the hotel through the fish tank access point, the Wi-Fi, get through that one and stayed there for almost a month or more. They got the information about everybody who's there, including the high bowlers, the people that you need a car to get to their floors. And nobody knows this one until those people start seeing you charged there. I'll give you another incident. This is recent. I'll send you the link for that. You can share it. It's actually reported by CNN, Hong Kong. There was an incident about this poor guy. He is one of those companies, financial companies, and then he was called into a Zoom meeting, and then he saw that the CFO of the company and other people he knows, and they start talking about transferring $25 million for a new deal, and then he approved that one, and they transferred $25 million, just to find out that everybody in that Zoom except him was actually a deep fake video. Every single person. And how he found out about it, I'll send you the link for that one. How he found about it, because after he finished the meeting, he received a text message from the real person. How can you send me a text message and you are on the screen? So that's give you that's an AI attack. That's an AI attack. We're gonna see more like that. It's a tool. You can use it for good. You can use it for bad. So now my student in cybersecurity, or anybody in cybersecurity, it's no longer the firewalls. It's no longer the antivirus. It's no longer the anti-spy. It's more than that. It's more about the AI. You have to make sure that the AI is involved in the cybersecurity. There will be one of the things that they have seen some demo for this one is the computer will not start stealing or asking about information unless the right person is sitting in front of the computer without any camera. It's the location of that person from the phone, and also the way he or she is typing and the coordination of that person. It's like what we see in Mission Impossible and say, you're eating, I'm going to give you the mission. I know you. There's no camera there, but they know who you are. So we as much as we see advancement in making people feel good, like the toothbrush with the AI, we're going to see from the other side that the bad guys are using it in their own advantage.
Very well said. It's currently beyond just having multi-factor authentication. It's beyond just, avoiding public Wi-Fi at Starbucks with a VPN. It's beyond that. People used to think that, if they're following these principles of cybersecurity, they are cyber secure. It has increased to a level that every day hackers are finding new ways, and you have to be more top of news and more top of the ways they can be possibly used.
Okay, here's the last incident. I'll send you the link to that one too. This poor lady in South Korea, she thought that Elon Musk is in love with her. It's basically an avatar that's created by deepfake. She sent $50,000 to him. Elon Musk, the guy who is the richest person on this planet, will ask for $50,000.
No way.
But the articles show you how they developed this. That shows you that it can be used for things. How many victims they fall for this that we don't know about.
Absolutely, and it's a $50 billion market and more than that, beyond that. It's sad that the most of the culprits used to be people who are old, but now even because of AI, anyone of any age can be attacked.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor. It was so wonderful talking to you, and I myself learned so much, and I'm sure our audience will learn a lot. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you.